now actually going to start to move into the actual nutrition part of the unit. So we'll talk about the nutrients. We'll talk about what various nutrients are needed for. I'll talk a little bit today about calories and what that means, and go from there. So on Friday, we defined nutrition is the science of studying nutrients. And nutrients are the parts of food that our bodies can actually use. When you eat whatever you just ate for lunch, you consumed a whole bunch of different things, a whole bunch of different compounds. Some of those things your body can use. Most of what you ate, your body can use. There's only a small amount that actually your body cannot use. And all those things that we use are called nutrients. We say that there are 6 essential nutrients that we're going to talk about. Okay, water, vitamins, minerals, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. So what we'll talk about is sort of what they are, where they're found, and how they're useful to us. Okay?
What would like a compound be for like chocolate, or what would that be?
Yeah, so if you're thinking about a food,
Some chocolate covered pretzels.
like foods, we wouldn't write out the chemical compound for it. Because foods are made of mixtures of lots of different compounds. You know, oil has a certain chemical compound.
Really?
And proteins are in the milk and fats in the milk. But milk itself is not one thing. It's a whole mixture of several different things. So we'll start with water. And we talked a little bit about water back when we talked about the needs of living things, that all living things need water. And we need water constantly. We need a constant source of water. It can come from drinking water, but also can come from foods that we eat. It can come from other things that we drink. You know, if you drink a glass of orange juice, well, most of that's water. You're still getting water from drinking that orange juice. But anyone remember, why was water so important? We mentioned a couple reasons. Jared, what's one?
To stop you drinking.
Excuse me? Yeah, to keep you hydrated. And you stay hydrated, that's important, because water in our body is important for what?
To transport like stuff around.
Yeah, one important thing is to transport. Our blood is mainly water. And so for things to move around throughout our body requires water. We also have body fluid, which moves things around our body. That's water as well. What else, Joe?
No. Last week I said that and you said it was wrong.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You said what?
You said
That
what I said.
transport. Yeah.
No,
Yes, you
I wouldn't say that was
Yeah.
wrong. What were you talking about? Osmosis?
Water.
What about water?
It
Transports
transports
things around.
That's right.
Yeah, but you said it was wrong.
Also in our body, many different substances are dissolved by water. Water is sometimes called the universal solvent. So different vitamins, different nutrients can be dissolved in water to move around through our body. Our blood, our body tissue, fluids in our body, it's all composed mainly of water.
Yeah, but like blood like is that why it's like watery?
Yeah.
I know it's gross, but like
Yeah.
Wait, how come then, like, when it starts to, like, dry out, how it gets
oh,
sticky?
okay, stop.
It's just because it's mainly water mixed with red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and other stuff as well.
Oh,
It's also important water in getting rid of waste from our body. Okay? Because our kidneys need water in order to function. So your kidneys, all the blood in your body goes through your kidneys. And your kidneys basically filter out waste products, nitrogen and so on. Those waste products get mixed with water, and that's what forms urine. That allows our body to get rid of those waste products. Without that water, your kidneys cannot
I
function.
have a question. So is that why like when you have a kidney transplant, like because your kidney like
Yeah.
what happens if like your kidneys just didn't function?
You can't live without functioning kidneys. People that their kidneys have failed, they can go for dialysis when they basically go to the hospital, the doctor's office, and their blood is artificially filtered using a few different processes, and that keeps them alive. People who have kidney failure are generally looking for a kidney transplant. You can live just fine with a single kidney. So sometimes a person, like if a family member has kidney failure and needs a kidney transplant, sometimes a family member may donate one kidney, and then the person that donated a kidney can live fine with one kidney, and the person that got the transplant can then live with the donated kidney. So that sometimes happens.
So
Jackson?
doesn't it have to be like a perfect match or something?
It has to be not a perfect match, but there have to be certain proteins, certain parts. You know, a close relative is generally better than a stranger, but you can get a kidney transplant from a stranger still.
That's so weird. Okay, so if my sister had kidney failure and I
Guys.
was a good match
Sure.
and I donated my kidney to her, like I gave it to her, would she like me?
Maybe. Hopefully you never have to see Mary Lars.
Couldn't there be like some possibilities where someone's kidney wasn't strong enough to keep them alive though?
I mean, so let's say if I donated a kidney to somebody and then I only had one kidney, then if my one single kidney had a problem, then I would need a kidney transplant.
And then what if the kidney that you gave, like you donated, wasn't like well?
Same thing, if you donate a kidney to somebody and then it doesn't, because it does happen sometimes, then they are still in the same situation, it wouldn't have helped. Yeah.
How did we get on the subject of kidney?
All right, so let's move on. So water is an important nutrient. It's why we need a constant source of water. Next up are vitamins and minerals. Vitamins and minerals are nutrients that we need in pretty small quantities. Okay? Things like vitamin C, vitamin D, iron. We don't need a lot of those things, but we do need some of it. These vitamins and minerals have a lot of different uses in our bodies. Okay? A lot of different chemical reactions require these vitamins and minerals. We're going to go over a list of vitamins and minerals later on. But for now, we'll just say they have many different functions in our body. And if a person doesn't get enough of certain vitamins and minerals, they may get what we call a deficiency disease. What does deficient mean? What does that word mean? Shay?
Like, it's like when you're impatient, like you like are like, it's hard to explain.
Deficient means
Not working properly.
not quite working, but
Like you don't have enough of it?
yeah, sort of like not enough.
Like school.
And so if you have a deficiency of vitamin C, you don't have enough, and that has certain negative consequences on your body. We'll be talking about those. So you need the proper levels of vitamins and minerals to prevent some of these deficiencies.
Vitamin C deficiency? That's why they had like these vitamin C tablets?
Yeah, it's called scurvy.
So when you have like your regular, like I have like a morning vitamin that I was taking, like does that consist of like vitamin A, C?
Yeah, it probably has several vitamins and minerals in it. And it's basically just to ensure that you get the proper levels of all of those. All right, then if we move on from vitamins and minerals, we get to our three main classes of nutrients that we eat: fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. So fats, the first one. Fat is a nutrient that's found in lots of different foods. And fat is used as energy in our body. So if we eat a food that's high in fat, we get a lot of energy from it, a lot of calories. Also in our bodies, any excess calories that we eat get stored for later on as body fat. So energy, fat has energy, so our bodies can use it for that. It also provides insulation. Okay? Everybody has a certain amount of body fat, and that helps to insulate our bodies. It also surrounds our organs, cushioning our organs to help protect them a little bit. And also, certain vitamins that we need are only soluble in fats. And so if you're not getting those fats, then you can't absorb those vitamins. Most vitamins are water soluble. They can dissolve in water, but there are some that are fat soluble.
So, your body fat would be like cytoplasm? Like
No, it's the cell membrane. Remember I told you about the cell membrane? It's called a phospholipid. The lipid part is fats. So all of the cell membranes are composed of fat, but also in our body we have just stored pure fat that our body can use to get energy or can store excess energy in that body fat.
protein.
I got So in terms of foods, you know, oils, vegetable oil, olive oil, that's pure fat. That's oils are fats. You know, other foods that have a lot of fat would be things like butter, things like that. So dairy products have a fair amount of fat in them.
Like cheese.
Oh no, like fat-free, like skim milk, it has the fat removed from the milk. Lard, yeah, is animal fat.
They put in syrup.
Oil people's organs, they can become large.
I have two fat stories for you.
Okay, no,
Both from when I was a kid.
this is why
You
you're
were a chubby kid, you think you're
So when I was a kid, I was probably, both of these things happened around the same time. So when I was probably 9 or 10, my mom would make, she'd fry meatballs all the time.
I love fried meatballs.
So she would fry them in oil, and that's fine. And fried meatballs are really good, but whatever. So then she would take the leftover oil after she fried the meatballs, and she'd save it, and she'd use it the next time. And so one time, and she'd use it a few times till it was too gross. Listen. She used it a few times, then she'd get rid of it. But this one time, she stored it, and she put it. She always put it in the refrigerator, but this time she happened to put it in an orange juice container.
Oh no.
And so I woke up one morning, it was like a weekend morning with my sister and we went downstairs. I guess I was kind of still groggy. And so we were going to have orange juice. And so I went in the fridge and I poured a glass of orange juice for myself, a glass of orange juice for my sister. And it was kind of that color. I mean, I didn't notice. I was really tired, but so I poured the glass and I had a huge gulp of just this greasy, fried, gross meatball oil, and then I vomited in the sink right
Did you wake up after that?
Then I told my sister, I said, don't eat it.
Don't eat it, you mean
Or
drink it.
Then the other story was, I was about the same age. I don't know what was going on with this thing. But my mom had, do you know what? Do you know what Crisco is?
Yeah.
It's like comes in that canister, it's that white stuff. It's basically vegetable oil, but solidified. So it's used in pies and stuff like that. So anyway, I always thought it was frosting. So like vanilla frosting. So I was begging my mother, I'm like, let me try just baking something with it. And she's like, no, it's disgusting, no. And finally I asked her so many times, she finally said, okay, fine, go ahead, try it. So I got the tub of Crisco and I scooped my fingers and I got a big glob of it and I put it in my mouth, but it's just this greasy glob of disgusting, yeah. And so I vomited again after that.
Why do you always vomit?
All right, yes, quickly.
I ate vanilla because it smelled so good, but it's so disgusting.
Yeah, pure vanilla.
Same thing with the chocolate, chocolate
I like
powder.
vanilla.
I smelled it like that too.
Yeah, bitter.
All right, Joe.
Is that why you're a vegetarian?
No, but maybe it started then. I don't know. Good idea.
No, it was a meatball.
All right, Jackson.
Oh, my mom does the same thing with bacon grease, but that you can kind of tell that it's not like whipped creamy because it's got like chunks of bacon in it.
All right, Joe. Then we gotta move on. Go ahead.
My dad has a milk container full of grease. It's like that big, and at the bottom it's a black solid part, and then it's a white solid part, and then it's another brownish solid part, and then from there on it's
Well, those things like oil. If you ever had like a container of salad dressing, if you put it in the refrigerator, the oil will solidify. It sort of. If you take it out, it'll eventually melt again. But yeah, that's what the white is. All right. Anyway, let's move on to proteins. I don't have any protein stories, so it's gonna be okay. All right. So proteins. What does our body use protein for? Jared? Yeah. We say generally a couple things. First off, it can be used as energy. So when we eat protein, our body can break it down and get energy out of it. But its main use in our body is to repair tissue, because most of our body is actually made of protein. Like the cells, most of what they're made out of is protein. Our muscles are almost pure protein. And so to repair something, to repair a muscle that is damaged, we need protein to do that. If you get a cut on your skin, the new cells that will form to heal that cut, much of that is protein. So protein is used to repair tissue, and also for you guys, you're growing quite a bit now at this age. It's to increase your all of your tissues to grow taller, to increase in muscle mass. All of that requires protein in order to work. All right, Jackson.
Are there like fat cells?
Yeah.
So those like muscle cells. So
Yeah, they're
those
like-
little like things.
Yeah, body fat is made of fat cells.
I
Yeah.
just kind of forgot.
And generally, the amount of fat cells a person has doesn't really change, but the size of those fat cells can change. Right?
So let's just say there's this very, very short kid.
Yeah.
Oh,
Joe
he's the
Malia.
oldest in the grade about,
Yeah.
and
Joe Malia.
he's just walking around. So if he eats a lot, just saying, and he doesn't grow, just saying, just putting it out.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
And too much happy.
I'm getting your point. Yeah.
And let's just say he doesn't grow.
Yes. So some people. So this fictional student that you speak of. So there's a couple things. So what determines a person's height? Okay, it's almost all genetic. So
Blame your parents.
your genes determine your overall height, but probably your DNA determines your maximum height. Because if your genes determine your maximum height could be 5 feet 10 inches. But if you have poor nutrition, if you don't eat enough, okay, then you may not reach that maximum height. Okay? But if, let's say, you have enough nutrients, eating more of them is not going to cause you to grow any taller. You have to have the sufficient energy and the sufficient nutrients to grow to that height, but anything beyond that is just extra. Same thing with vitamins and minerals. Having the right levels of vitamins and minerals makes you healthy, but taking more beyond that doesn't make you healthier. It just, your body just gets rid of it. All right, quickly, Sherry.
Okay, so since like the tissue like helps you grow,
Yeah.
would me and Maggie like not have a lot of tissues in our bodies? Are you really sure?
No, it's that your tissues increase. Your bone size, the length of your bones increases as you're going through your growing years, and that your muscle mass increases as you mature, and all those other things. Jared?
It was like the microscope thing.
Yeah.
When I was 4, I got back. I was 3 actually. I got back. My mom brought me back from preschool, and so she was in our family room reading, and I went into the kitchen and I went into the freezer and I ate a stick of butter,
Oh.
and then I ate another one. Halfway through, and my mom came in and she took it away from me,
Wow.
and then I got
How'd you
really
feel?
sick.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I
Well, when I was a kid, my grandmother, one of my favorite things that my grandmother would make, she would make French fries at her house when I would go over there. And like, she had like the pot filled with oil, she had a little basket, she'd cut up potatoes, like real French fries. And so they're really good, but then she would put out like the stick of butter, and we'd dip the French fries in the butter and eat them. It was like really, really good.
That's so
Yeah, just because they weren't, yeah.
Is that what
we bonded after that.
All right, let's move on to carbohydrates. You what, Maggie? You have a question?
So my dad is really tall,
Yeah.
but my mom is like on the shorter side.
Yep.
So if my genes are kind of mixed, would I be regular height when I?
No, they're not necessarily mixed because we all get
one or the other?
half of our chromosomes.
So
Hold on. Half of your chromosomes you get from your mother, half you get from your father. Which half you happen to end up with determines which traits and which characteristics you get from each parent. All right, we have to move on.
I got more.
Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates come in sort of 2 main categories. We sometimes call them complex and simple carbohydrates, or sugars are simple carbohydrates, starches are more complex. And we know from when we studied osmosis, starch, what kind of carbohydrate is starch? Well, complex. And is a large or small molecule?
Large.
Yeah, it's large. Remember, it couldn't get through the dialysis tubing pores. And so starches have to be broken down first. Before your body can use starches, it breaks them down into glucose, and then you can use them. So carbohydrates are generally used for energy. Simple carbohydrates can be used more quickly for a quick source of energy. Starches have to be digested before they can be
See,
used.
this is like fiber. You can't try to.
Well, we'll get there, because the other fiber is another. Now, fiber is not quite a nutrient, really. What is fiber?
Oh wait, I didn't fill this out. Oh really? What is this?
Joe?
It sort of cleans it up. Like, say this is the small intestine and this is fiber. It just kind of
Okay.
cleans it right out.
Where does fiber come from? Do you know?
The fiber tree.
Yeah, but it comes from certain. You learned about this. Yes, Olivia said it comes from vegetables and fruit. The cell wall of plants is generally made of cellulose. Cellulose is fiber. Cellulose is indigestible to us. We don't have the proper enzymes to break down cellulose. So even when we consume, if you eat, a piece of lettuce, a lot of that is cellulose. So you can eat it. Some parts of those cells you can break down and use, but the cellulose you don't. That cellulose is non-digested. It moves through your digestive tract, eventually out of your body, and helps to maintain bowel function. Yes, that's it.
I know that
I
it takes a while to when you eat to go all it takes 24 hours
Yeah.
for it to be finished.
Yep.
So when you eat something, does it go straight down your stomach? Because I know that it does.
Yeah, it's like in your stomach after you
Is
swallow.
that,
Very
is that
quickly.
why it you feel full in your stomach?
Yeah, because once your stomach is basically full, it sends signals to your brain telling you that you're no longer hungry, that you're full, to stop eating.
But I can't
I
stop.
had this like huge salad yesterday.
Yeah.
So does that mean like I can't digest any of it?
No, a lot of it you can digest, but it just has a lot of fiber in it. All right. Yes.
Huge salad.
Yeah, I don't know if that's actually true. People say that. I don't know if it's
Digest
true.
what?
Gum. Yeah, Brandon.
Wait, so now I'm talking about genes, so my dad's really tall, my mom's not so much tall. So if I'm already taller than her, it might be taken after my
Could be. Probably. If that makes sense. All right. We're moving on here. We need to talk about calories. So if you look at a container of any food and look at the nutrition facts, it tells you how many calories a serving of that food has. What exactly are calories? What is that information? What is it telling you? Sure?
Calories are energy.
Yeah, it's a measurement of how much energy that food contains. Do we need calories?
Yes.
Yes, we need calories to move, to keep our bodies functioning. We need a source of energy.
Goodness gracious.
And different nutrients have different amounts of calories in them. And you guys probably had to learn this in health.
Yes.
How many calories are in a gram of fat? 9 calories.
Oh, fat is not, but
Carbohydrates and proteins have 4 calories
Okay.
per gram.
yeah.
9, 4, 4.
So when I swallowed that fingerful of Crisco, if I had kept it down, if that 20 grams of Crisco would have had about 180 calories in it. Carbohydrates have 4, proteins have 4. So the amount of calories that our bodies require varies. What's an average number for how many calories an adult needs?
2,000.
Yeah, in that range,
How do I know that?
around 2,000. But that depends on many factors. A person's age, their gender, how much they weigh, how tall they are, how active they are. All of those things determine how many calories a person needs to maintain that body weight. What happens if somebody needs 2,000 calories? What happens when they eat 3,000 calories a day?
No, they don't.
Extra calories, what does your body do with extra calories? Yes, it stores extra calories as body fat. It saves them up, and that's an adaptation we have. How is that a helpful adaptation? Yeah, well, for times when you don't have enough food. It's an adaptation to store extra calories because at times in the past, we didn't have easy access to food all the time. So when there were times of low food levels, we can then live on that stored up energy within our body. What happens when a person needs 2,000 calories, but they're only getting 1,000?
They're really underweight.
No, not. Where do those missing calories come from?
They're gonna eat some stuff.
Your body fat.
Yeah, they come from body fat. If a person, though, is a long period where they have used up all of their body fat, then the body starts to use muscle tissue and other types of tissue.
Is that why you get really skinny
Yeah.
with Starbucks?
All right, Joe? I don't know what you mean.
I don't believe in eating.
I've got it, girls.
I believe in eating.
I don't know what you mean.
He doesn't believe in eating healthfully.
What? And with
Well,
that,
that's
what if we eat like double our calories?
It depends.
Also, like
You get that?
it's like short and
Yeah.
You mean if you don't? Because everyone has different base metabolism. So everyone burns a certain number of calories. Some people, their base metabolism is higher than other people's, and so they need to consume more calories to maintain. All right, about 3,500 excess calories, or if you're deficient, 3,500 calories, that is equivalent to about 1 pound of body fat.
Oh, that's bad.
So if a person eats 3,500 more calories than they burn off, those extra calories will get stored as fat, or the opposite is also true.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You're gaining a pound.
Like, imagine
Now,
getting a
all right, now, if we look at this graph, guys, look, go. So if we look at this graph, this shows approximate requirements for calories at various ages. So as a person gets older, okay, the amount of calories they need starts increasing. Obviously, a little baby that only weighs 15 pounds doesn't require as many calories to maintain. But they are growing, so they still require a fair number. That increases, especially in here where you guys are. You know, between the ages of 12 and 18, we need a lot of calories because you're growing.
That's a
Okay.
lot.
And so as that increases, but then eventually a person reaches their maximum height. And then over time, the amount of calories that they need decreases over time. Now, the other factor that's important is not just their age, but how active a person is. If you see here, sedentary, what does that mean?
Like in the middle. Not active.
Yeah, it means not active. So a person that's very sedentary, that's not getting a lot of activity and exercise, is at the lower end of the spectrum.
Ow.
Somebody who is exercising a lot, that's playing sports or training or weightlifting, they are going to be at the higher end of the spectrum towards the active range. But there's quite a variation. If you look at this person, this 19-year-old, a very active person could need up to 3,200 calories. A very sedentary person could be down below, 2,400. So there's quite a range, and it just depends on a person's lots of different factors, including activity level. Jackson?
Back to the graph. Because it was like UFC fighters and stuff, and they train like they really hard, and like they were like around like 18 to like 30-ish.
Yeah.
General estimate. So were they like double?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys paid attention to the Olympics a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
No.
So when Michael Phelps is the one I heard about,
Yeah.
his training regimen was crazy. He would swim, I don't know the numbers, I'm not a swimmer, but he swam so much he would need to eat like 10,000 calories a day to maintain his muscle mass because he was exercising so much. So he had this crazy diet where he would eat tons and tons of food
Yeah, they juggle.
because he was burning so many calories in his training for swimming. And so, again, the activity level has a big impact on the number of calories
So
somebody
you have
needs.
to eat so
Wait, does that mean
amount
that-
of food and you burn like.
Yeah, because you're
but
burning so much
you're
up.
like really full. How does that?
You got, so I mean, I think when if you saw those interviews, it was a struggle, he had to like really work to get enough calories in. And they don't want to eat just garbage calories, they don't want to eat milkshakes and candy. They try to eat lots of protein to make sure they have enough to build their muscle mass as they train their muscles. So they have to really plan out their meals very carefully. Olivia?
Isn't there like that guy thing where like you eat like only a little bit like a week, and then you eat like 3,000 calories one day, you do like put on weight?
I don't know, there are all kinds of crazy diets that people
Those are bad.
try.
Don't do
I don't know if it does work.
Fads are bad.
Yeah, there's all sorts of crazy things people have that they use to try to lose weight. But overall, the basic healthy thing is